The proportion who lived with two parents varied widely by race and ethnicity. So here we go with the racial thing. Okay, 87% of Asians lives with two parents, 78% of non-Hispanic whites, 68% of Hispanics, and 38% of blacks. So 38% of black children live with two parents. Now, I know there are people that will hear a statistic like that or read a statistic like that, and they'll be like, woe is me. Oh Lord have mercy the Negroes, blah 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 blah. It's always something. But what people need to understand is that what black people are showing, or not what black people are showing, but what the statistics from black people are showing, is they're showing what's going to happen to everybody else in the future. Okay? True, right now 38% of black children live with two parents, and that's lower than everybody else. It's a lot lower than everybody else. But eventually, you're going to see all the other races at 50%, and then at 40%, and then at 38%, because that's the way it is. That's what's happening now. Earlier on, I mentioned that the number of white females who has babies outside of marriage is increasing. Same thing with the number of Hispanic females. So instead of using these statistics to shame black people, which is what happens all the time, you would think that somebody would have the good sense to use these statistics to make predictions about where everybody else is going to be 10, 15 years from now. And we already see that all the other races of people are going the same way. But I have this article from the New York Times that says, for women under 30, or this is the title, for women under 30, most births occur outside marriage. Okay, now this is from February 17th, 2012. Now, according to this article, for women under 30, most births occur outside marriage. About 40% of the children born in this country are born outside of marriage. 59% are born to mothers who are married. Okay, now according to the article that I cited previously, most children still live in two-parent homes. 19 million, let me get this right, there are 19 million children in the United States, nearly 19 million, who are being raised or living with their unmarried biological mothers. Okay, 18% of those children, it says, are living in households where the mother has a partner. Now, there are only about, or the last time I checked, there were only about 8 million black children living in the United States. Okay, according to the information that I've gone over, 38% of those children are living with a mom and dad who are married. That 38% would account for about 3.2 million kids. So 3.2 million out of 8 million kids is living with a mom and dad who are married. So that means that the other 4.8 million are living with either their mother, probably most of them are just living with a mom, and then some of them are living with a mom and her partner. But the point I'm trying to make is, if there are 19 million kids in this country that are being brought up, born outside of marriage, being brought up outside of marriage, and only 3.2 million of them are black, then who are these other kids? These other 16 million kids. They're not black. So not only are more and more white children being born outside of marriage, but we will continue to see more and more white children being born outside of marriage, because according to all this research, all this tireless research, the number of white women who has babies outside of marriage is increasing. This is not a black issue, and that's the way people treat it. But the fact is, if it was a black issue, then white people would not be touched by it at all. They wouldn't be affected by it whatsoever. But as it is, not only are they affected by it, but they will continue to be affected by it more and more as time goes on. The rate of married births amongst black women is actually getting lower and lower. And this is what is driving the unmarried birth rate to be so high. If you want the unmarried birth rate amongst black women to go down, then you have to get the married birth rate amongst black women to go up. Here's an excerpt from the article, The Math on Black Out-of-Wedlock Births. Birth rates for married black women have declined even more than rates for unmarried black women. As a result, the proportion of births to unmarried black women remains high, 69% in 1999. So, the unmarried birth rate amongst black women is being driven by the fact that married black women are having less and less babies. The unmarried birth rate amongst black women is being driven by the fact that married black women are having less and less babies. The unmarried birth rate amongst black women is being driven by the fact that married black women are having less and less babies. Now, as far as the Hispanic category is concerned, that's kind of tricky because you have white people that are Hispanic and you have black people that are Hispanic. So there are Hispanic white people and there are Hispanic black people. If all of the white Hispanics were just counted as straight up white, then that would bring the unmarried birth rate for white people up really high. And if all of the Hispanic blacks were just counted as straight up black, then that would probably bring the unmarried birth rate for black people down. So counting people who are identified as Middle Eastern descent as white, that gives white people an advantage. It gives them what I guess you could call an unfair advantage. So white people do have, when it comes to these statistics, they have a couple of advantages that black people don't have. And so that's the reason why you got to be really careful when when it comes to statistics, because they can be misleading if you don't understand them.